Hello everyone, I'm back with my next video on the poem Ozymandias by P.B. Shelley. In the beginning of this video, I have shared the summary of the poem followed by question and answers, reference to context questions, the theme of the poem, and at the end there is line by line explanation of the poem. I hope this video will be helpful to you. So let's get started. In this poem, the poet met a traveler. The traveler tells the poet about the broken statue in the desert. He says that the statue is made up of stone in an old land. Moreover, it stands on legs only. The upper body was destroyed. Thus, it has no head, neck, and limbs. Furthermore, the face of the statue lay nearby on the sand. The same was damaged and destroyed by the passage of time. It was half sunk in the sand. Also, it showed a sign of anger or displeasure. Moreover, his lips were wrinkled. There was an expression of hostility on his face. Also, his face depicted that he was a dominating king. He had no feelings for other people. His statue depicted his passion to survive even after his death. The artist has engraved these expressions in the statue very well. One could easily see the rough behavior of the king in the statue's expressions. The poet praises the sculptor. He had perfectly copied the minutest expressions and wrinkles on the king's face. The words, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty and despair," were engraved. The king announced himself as the mightiest. He wanted other kings to feel belittled in front of him. However, the poet says that everything got destroyed and damaged with the passage of time. The broken pieces of statue were only lying around. Also, the desert was very vast. No other structure was visible. The king was egoistic. He was filled with pride. But today, after a very long time, there is no trace of the king, Ramses II. This tells us that we should never be boastful, egoistic, or feel proud of ourselves. We all have limited time in this mortal world. We should not live our lives for earning name and fame. These are unattainable. The more we earn them, even more we desire. On the contrary, we should live a generous and humble life. It is full of compassion and love. Here we can see the picture of the trunkless legs. The traveler is here. Let us start with question and answers first. Question 2a. Where had the traveler seen the remains of the statue? Find out the ancient name of Ozymandias. The answer is, the traveler had seen the remains of the statue in a boundless desert. Ramses II was the ancient name of Ozymandias. What was the condition of the statue? The answer is, the statue was ruined and was in a state of decay. Let us see the next question. What was the expression on the face of the statue? The traveler described the statue as having a face with a wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. It suggests a proud and arrogant expression. Next question. What does the poet say about the skill of the sculptor? The answer is the sculptor was skilled and talented who had understood the expressions well and brought them alive in his art. Next question. What was inscribed on the pedestal? The answer is the following words were inscribed on the pedestal. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. Next question. Describe the scene around the statue. The answer is around the statue there was a boundless desert, bare, lonely and vast. Let us now see the reference to context questions. The first one, I have written the extract in red. I met a traveler from an antique land who said to vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Whose statue was it? The answer is the statue was of Ozymandias, an ancient king. The next question is, which antique land do you think is mentioned here? The answer is probably Egypt is the ancient land mentioned here. Next question, what does the expression on the face of the statue tell us about the person? The answer is, it tells us that the king was a powerful king who wanted everyone to follow his command and will. He appears to have also been arrogant and someone who sought to dominate his subjects. Next question. Did the sculptor capture the real character of the person whose statue this was? What point does this make about the power of art? The answer is, the sculptor seems to have captured the essence of the king well. This tells us that art has the power to evoke the imagination as well as the emotions of the viewer or the reader even long after the original context is gone. The statue and the poem, both works of art, are able to inspire the reader's imagination centuries after the death of Ozymandias. Second extract, and on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. Question 1. What do the lines on pedestal tell us about the king? The answer is, these lines tell us that the king was very proud and believed himself to be above other rulers. He thought of himself to be so accomplished that he challenged other powerful individuals to match his achievements. The lines describe his arrogance about the fact that he was the greatest king who ever lived. He's almost telling everyone to feel bad about themselves because they are not like him and he could never possibly be. Next question. How do these lines contrast with the scene around the statue? The answer is, these lines are in stark contrast with the scenes around the statue as the statue now lies in ruins in a vast and desolate desert. Ozymandias believed himself to be invincible, king of kings, yet his statue now lies in shambles. Question 3. How does the poet describe the landscape? The answer is, the landscape is vast, deserted and desolate. The colossal wreck of the statue lies half buried in sand which is lonely and endless. Next question. What message does the poem deliver? The answer is, the central message of the poem is that human power and ambition are transient. Everything comes at an end one day. No matter how powerful one is, there comes a time when nothing about the person is remembered, as is suggested by the destroyed statue of a proud, ambitious, and arrogant king. Let us see few extra questions. Question 1. What is the irony in the last part of the poem? The answer is the last part of the poem is filled with irony. While the lines on the pedestal state that Ozymandias was the king of kings, better and more accomplished than anyone else in the world, the reality is that his statue that carries these lines now lies abandoned in a desert, lonely and in ruins, destined to oblivion. Oblivion means forgetfulness. So people are likely to forget because now the statue is broken and they'll forget it now. Question 2. What is the poet trying to tell us through the condition of the statue? The answer is the poet has used the condition of the statue to emphasize the impermanence of human power, ambition and glory. The statue which is broken and lies half buried in sand serves as a powerful symbol of decline and eventual collapse of the greatest of kings and empires. The poet tells us that the greatest of achievements and the kings are equally subject to ruin and oblivion. Beyond a point, it is pointless to pursue power and be blinded by it. Next question. Explain. A wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command. The answer is the wrinkled lip suggests contempt and disdain. Sneer of cold command implies arrogance and authoritative nature or superiority complex of the king. Next question. Its sculptor well those passioned red. The answer to this is the poet is talking about how well the sculptor has captured the king's characters and traits in the statue. Hence, the sculptor was not just a skilled craftsman but also someone who understood human nature and was able to convey complex emotions and attitudes through his art. Next question. Look on my works, he mighty and despair. This line is ironic. It suggests that Ozymandias was once a great and powerful ruler whose works or deeds inspired fear and awe in his subjects. However, now all that remains of him is a ruined statue in a vast and lonely desert. The line talks about the futility of pursuing glory. Let us now read the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem is the impermanence of power, fate, and the inevitability of a person's end. Let us now see the explanation. I have numbered the lines. The starting and ending of the line is also here, and you can refer to the poem also. Let us quickly read the explanation. Line 1. The speaker in the poem, perhaps the poet, tells the story about his point of view using the pronoun I. In the first line, he talks about meeting a traveler from an antique country. The reader does not know where the speaker first met this traveler. The title indicates which land the traveler visited. The Greeks called Ramses II a powerful Egyptian pharaoh Ozymandias. So, it is easy for the reader to recognize the antique land as Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Line 2 to line 4. In these lines, the traveler describes a statue he saw in Egypt. Through the eyes of the traveler, the reader sees two massive legs carved from stone lying in the desert sand. Nearby, the face of the statue is lying half buried. The face is broken, but the traveler can still see that the sculptor had carved out a frown and a sneer on it. From this, he is able to tell that this ruler probably had absolute power and he ruled with an iron fist. It is also easy to interpret that this ruler probably had a lot of pride as the supreme leader of his civilization. Line 5 to line 8. The traveler comments that the sculptor knew his subject, that is king, very well and had captured the arrogance and haughty attitude on the ruler's face of stone for posterity. The brilliance of the sculptor is still stamped on the lifeless stone as he mocked the king's true nature through his art, and people looking at the king's broken face centuries later could still guess the kind of ruler he was. He also seems to be commenting in line 7 that while there is an end to living beings, art is eternal. It survives. Lines 9 to 14. The speaker then comments on the king's pride that is conveyed through the declaration on the pedestal of the statue. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. The king's proud assertion is immediately contrasted with the line, nothing beside remains, bringing out the fact that all creatures are mortal. The arrogance of the words of the king, who had probably believed that he would leave a lasting and intimidating legacy through everything he built, are ultimately empty as everything he built has crumbled. The people and places he ruled over are gone, leaving only an abandoned desert whose lone and level stands imply that there's not even the trace of the kingdom's former glory to be found. The pedestals claim that onlookers should despair at Ozymandias' work, thus takes on a new and ironic meaning. One despairs not at Ozymandias' power, but at how powerless time and decay make everyone. I hope this video was helpful to you. In case you have any problem, please put it in the comment section. Do like, share, and yes, give good comments. Take good care of yourself. Bye.